Good morning, this is Megan Herbst with your conservation report for Saturday, September 10th. Summer is over, and for many listeners, this part of the year is their favorite. Autumn in central Minnesota means cooler temperatures, shorter days, pumpkins, fall festivals, and manure application. This is a friendly reminder of the minimum state requirements for manure land application setbacks. No application is allowed within 25 feet of lakes, protected wetlands, perennial or intermittent streams, and drainage ditches any time of the year. For manure application within 25 to 300 feet of lakes, protected wetlands, perennial and intermittent streams, and drainage ditches, all of that manure must be incorporated within 24 hours. No manure may be applied within 300 feet of those water bodies if the ground is frozen or snow-covered. If a 50-foot wide or greater permanent vegetative buffer exists along a protected wetland, intermittent stream, or drainage ditch, manure may be applied up to that buffer but not in it. So in this case, a 300-foot setback would not be necessary for manure that is not worked in because that buffer is going to protect that resource. If a 100-foot wide or greater permanent vegetative buffer exists along a lake or a perennial stream, manure may be applied up to that buffer once again, but not in it. So in that case, a 300-foot setback would not be necessary for manure that is not worked in because once again, that 100-foot permanent vegetative buffer is going to protect that water body. For open tile intakes, inject or incorporate all manure within 24 hours within 300 feet of that intake. No application of manure within 300 feet is allowed on frozen or snow-covered ground. There's no setback for manure application from a road ditch, only that manure may not be applied directly into the road ditch. And as for water supply wells, do not apply manure within 50 feet of that well. Wait to apply manure to coarse textured soils until the soil temperature is at 6 inches is below 50 degrees. And some of these setbacks may differ if you're receiving financial incentives through the Environmental Quality Incentives Program or EQIP, or if you're subject to special conditions in your feedlot permit. The fall is also a good time to update your manure analysis, so when you begin emptying your pit and agitating it, remember to take a manure sample. Another thing to consider this fall is planting cover crops, particularly after corn silage or small grains, which provide a longer growing season for those cover crops. This fall may be a good time to try them out since there's adequate soil moisture in many areas for that seed to germinate. If you are new to cover crops, start simple, maybe with just a species or two. Cereal rye or oats are good options. And don't try to plant cover crops on every acre. Start out with maybe just 20 to 30 acres to determine if you can effectively manage them. There are several questions you should ask yourself prior to planting cover crops. First, what do you want the cover crop to do for you? Prevent soil erosion, build organic matter, scavenge nutrients, break up compaction. Those are all things you're going to want to ask yourself when selecting your cover crop species. Secondly, do you want the cover crop to winter kill, or would you like it to overwinter and perhaps provide some additional forage in the spring? Also be sure to consider your current herbicide program and how that will affect your cover crops. And also be sure that you can budget for cover crops in your rotation. Some elaborate mixes can become quite expensive, so be sure to check for seed availability as well. And you don't need to have a lot of species to meet your objectives. So once again, if your objective is to prevent soil erosion, a single species such as cereal rye could do an outstanding job instead of having an expensive elaborate mix in place. Finally, I want to mention that the Department of Natural Resources has begun to take tree orders for the spring of 2017, and the minimum order is 500 trees. The Stearns County Soil and Water Conservation District will also begin taking orders in October, and those are minimum orders of 2 bundles, and each bundle contains 25 trees. And that's about it for me. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and a safe and happy harvest. This has been Megan Herbst with the Stearns County Soil and Water Conservation District for your Conservation Report.